Let me take you back a few years. Okay, several years. My first gaming console was a Game Boy Advance SP. And the first game I got with that was Mario Advance 2. It was the Mario World port for the Game Boy Advance. I remember loving that game to death. It was one of my very first fond memories that I could think of. Over the years, I would accumulate the remainder of the Mario Advance quadrilogy. However, for the longest time, I only had 2, 3, and 4. My friend had the first one, and only after several years and a few conventions that I finally got my hands on the first one. Not that it was that hard to find, I just, didn't have the time to get it after a while. Among a few games that I also got for the system, some obscure games, or some games that I just don't hear people talking about now, there was this Beyblade game that existed. There was also this game called Yoshi Topsy Turvy. At the time, I was wondering why the cartridge was so big, though now I realize it was because of the gyroscope. Man, I love that game. That's a game that I'd love to get to. The problem is, recording it would be a bit of a hassle, because although I do have a DS capture card, you would have to tilt the system several times to get it to respond. The point is, though, this other giant cartridge that eluded me for the longest time as to why it was so big was a game called Wario Land 3 that I got from some shop somewhere. I don't even remember where it was, but I got it. I know I got Yoshi Topsy Turvy there and Mario Pinball Land. Maybe I'll talk about that one too. Anyway, it took me years before I realized that that was the Game Boy Color cartridge. I also realized why the game was playing at a different aspect ratio than the rest of the games, because once again, the Game Boy Color had a different size screen. Unfortunately, I never got very far in the game, and that in large is due to the battery being faulty on that cartridge. And I did enjoy what I played, for as little as it was, but I always couldn't get past that feeling that my progress was just going to be undone as soon as the game was turned off, and it was very, very obnoxious for that. I ended up putting the game down and not really playing it, focusing on other games like Yoshi Topsy Turvy once again. I got all the medals in that game after several years. I would have said the same is true even now, and the cartridge was still terrible. However, just now I opened the cartridge to find that the game is complete, and I must have replaced the battery at some point, completely forgot about it for the sake of this video. I'm still going to play on an emulator because I don't want to risk having to lose that data again, just in the case that there are still problems involved. In hindsight, I really did enjoy this game a lot more than I thought. It's one of these games that always eluded me. The whole game had this weird atmosphere that was a little different from a lot of the other games I played. There was a lack of direction that really told you where to go, and most of the games that I played, it was very simple, like Mario games, left to right. But this game, it was a lot more exploratory. There was a lot of different pathways to go. The reason why I'm playing this one and not Wario Land 1 or 2 was because I actually have a history with that one. This was the first Wario Land game chronologically that I ever played, and I'd love to talk about it. My friend Raj also kind of said that he may have played this game when he was younger, and that might have rang a bell. So, yeah, without further ado, I guess let's get started. Man, Wario just can't catch a break. All these memes about him just dying in a car crash or something, and here he gets the shaft in this game as well. Really not a good decade for him, is it? Okay, well this was the year 2000, so that joke doesn't technically work, but shut up. I just realized that I need to adjust my actual controls for this. Alright, am I good? Alright, there we go. I guess this game came out in both English-speaking and Japanese-speaking places at the same time, or through the same cartridge? Maybe? I don't know. Whatever the case is, the actual text isn't really that important. For the most part. And that's your story. Wario gets trapped in a music box. Are you aware, Wario? This world is in the music box you were peering into. I was the god that protected this world. But one day, a wicked being sealed away my power and took control of this world. Wario, I want you to find the 5 music boxes needed to break the hidden seal and recover my powers. If you find them, I'll send you back to your own world. Of course, all the treasure you find is yours to keep. Will you help me? And here we go on our stage select. So, when I was younger, that thing in the background, for some reason, not only did it not give me the creeps, I actually had complete faith that this thing would be 100% the good guy. And you know what? Maybe you can't judge books by its cover. Maybe that's what was my logic when I was a kid. Let's enter the temple again. If you enter the temple again, he will tell you to head to the next level, and he'll specify which level it is. So, we're in the northern area of the music box, and as you can see on the top there, we're about to enter our first level here, N1. Also, this is a slight thing, and this will be just a thing later that you can do. If you're in front of the temple, instead of having to go in and have him like wait to speak to you, you can just press up, and he'll tell you which level to go to. So a slight convenience. There's also the select menu here. You see there's next map, which we haven't unlocked the other hemispheres yet. If you press info, this will tell you your general moveset. Or, no, wait, sorry, I was wrong. This will tell you the last cutscene you had, and it'll tell you which level you have left to unlock. I did not know it did that for the opening area. You can see our money on the right side. Our treasure here, there's 100 treasures to get. And there are 25 levels, each of them having 4 treasures. So, let's begin. Out of the woods. Here is your general move set. You can look at this on the pause menu as a general idea. You can move. You can jump. You can press B to hit certain enemies and knock them out. Certain blocks you can't break yet. You can press down to roll down a hill, and you'll stop once you hit a block that you can't break. So, just to show that in practice. As you can see, every time you hit one of these breakable blocks, you get bumped back a bit. This game, I find to be very bouncy. And that's both the good thing and sometimes not the best thing. Sometimes enemies, especially later on, can be really annoying to deal with because every time you bump into them the wrong way, you get bounced around. Just like these spider things right here. I'm not sure why a spider, or whatever that's supposed to be, is shooting electric charges at me. You'll also notice that I can get damaged by whatever I want, and nothing will happen to me. See, there you go. I get pricked by these guys' noses, and I'm totally fine. I find this big black key. I'm not sure what it does at the moment, or is it gray? Who really knows? So, Wario in this game doesn't have any kind of health bar, or meter, or, like, health system at all. He actually can, like, get hit by whatever you want. The only problem is, obviously, you'll get knocked back in different places, and once again, the bounciness of the game will, make itself known. So, you'll also notice certain insignias here, like this fire here. There's nothing I can really do about that at the moment. However, once we unlock new abilities, these things will open up to us. For example, we can press down here on this area, and we'll get stopped at that block. If we jump, we can avoid that for now, and get hit by the fire. The fire... I think I'm a little too late to do this at this point. Eventually, Wario will become a flame man guy. And as he's a flame man guy, he can break those fire blocks. In fact, let me show that off. Every time in this running state, though, if he hits a wall, then he will jump in the opposite direction. Or he will, you know, bounce back. Once again, bounce back. Proof of concept right here. Uh-oh. Well, that's just vaguely annoying. Anyway, you get these big musical coins here. I don't really know what they're for. Once you beat a level and have them, it'll show your tally for getting these coins. But I don't really know what they're for. This is actually one thing I might do some research on for the next episode. By the way, I'm planning on dividing this series into about 10 treasures per, like, level, per episode. I suppose that's fair. These guys right here, these worms, caterpillars, they'll string shot you, just like in Pokemon. And then you'll start rolling around the place. There are certain blocks that you can break later in the game that require you to be in this rolling form. So that's not really important right now. Right now you just want to avoid these guys. Now that we have the gray key, we go to the gray chest. Wario laughs a bit. And we finally get the first treasure of the game, the axe. Now, as you saw right there, this level, as I said, has 4 treasures to it. Usually, in most levels, you can only really get 1 treasure the first time you find it. And you'll have to worry about the other ones later on in the game. Some of them aren't even important. But this one here, obviously, since it's the first level, you'll need to get. The axe will let you chop down a tree to get to the next level. And another one as well. So, now that we have the first N1 out of the woods, if you hold B, I forgot to mention this, if you hold B on the map, it'll tell you which levels you can access, I guess, like which directions you can walk. That's interesting. You can also stop right here. It's not really that important, other than the fact that you can choose between N3 and N2. We'll need to actually go to both of these levels. So let's start out by going to N2. So every time you enter a level and exit, whether you get a treasure or not, just, you know, as long as you went in a level and left it, it will change from day to night or night to day. In N2 here, the nighttime will bring these zombies. When you get hit by their heads, you will turn into Zombie Wario. He'll just awkwardly fumble around. He can barely jump, but interestingly, maybe he's so heavy or his matter is so, like, gooey that when you jump on these semi-solid platforms, you'll fall right through them until you hit some more solid ground. It's an interesting bit of logic. I don't really know how these developers came up with this stuff, but honestly, it's like it's classic, you know. I'm glad that all this stuff is in the game, as weird as it is. So now that we have the gray key, well, we're gonna have to deal with being bouncy from hitting this guy's hammer. I love the song that plays here. God, that's just like, I don't know. I can't even explain it. It's just so silly. It fits with the tone of the game so much. As you can see here, there's also some platforms you can't even reach yet. You can actually reach this later on in the game with a higher jump, but as it stands, that's blocked off. You can duck under the zombies if you don't want to get zombified. Ooh, that was close. Well, anyway, go up here, you get the gray treasure, and that's it for End 2, Part 1. Some of these treasures are pointless, they're just there to bump up your score later in the game. Some of them actually do let you progress. This one right here is actually important. As you would probably assume, early on, the treasures unlock more levels quickly, so a lot of them will be important. So here we got N3, the Vast Plain. Oh yeah, the other one was called the Peaceful Village, but like that's not really important. These guys right here, I don't know how to feel about these guys. So they try to cover you with their bodies. I don't know. This whole thing has this weird perverted feel to it. Anyway, you just have to walk into a wall, and you'll stop getting thrown in darkness, I guess. This scientist guy right here, once he sees you, even, I guess, if you're invisible, he'll throw you an invisibility potion. And this will go away as soon as you do something like enter a pipe, or get hit with another transformation, like a zombification. Not that there is any in this level, but that's important for later. Though if you get pricked by something, like if you just get bounced back by this guy's shield, it doesn't count. But anyway, you can go in different areas. These eye things, they won't spot you, although normally they would. You can see I'm getting hit over here. However, if you enter this pipe, even as pointless as that pipe is, it's just to reset your invisibility. This is one of those games that it has a fair bit of songs, but they're all like derivatives of the same like melody. It's just like different instruments or different like variations of it. Not that I really mind that though. I do enjoy you know, Mario 64's soundtrack, for example, even though the songs are very similar. Anyway, we walk past this eye thing. We can't open the chest while we're invisible. Not really sure why, but it's fine. We remove that invisibility. Go around. And get bounced back. See, this is what I mean when I say that the game is bouncy as all hell. If you hit an enemy just in the wrong angle, even when you're on its head, something like that might happen. That's alright. Go back to the chest. The eye, I guess, explodes from the pressure. And let's open it. We have the right side of the thing that we got from the village. And when we combine them both, it makes a gate key, I suppose. This will open our way to the next hemisphere. Is it a hemisphere? Because it's just like a quarter. It's a quarter sphere, I guess. Welcome to the West. You will always see that game thing as we're going from north to west and west to north. It's very gray at the moment. Things will change later as we progress through the game. That might be where the music note coins are being used. I'm still gonna look into that. But regardless, we now have 3 treasures. Let's continue with West 1, the Desert Ruins. I actually love the music here. Honestly, a lot of the music comes across as very farty. Kind of like the first Wario Land, and maybe the second one as well. I haven't really listened to that soundtrack as much. But, like, I really do love it. I don't know, there's something very Wario about it. If you know what I'm catching. If you know what I'm catching. If you catch my drift. These guys right here, they'll feed you a donut, and then you'll turn fat. You can break through certain blocks on the ground in this farm. But sometimes they can be just a nuisance, and you'll have to deal with it. If you duck, though, the donuts won't actually affect you. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it's not really important. This stage is specific in that things are altered by the time of day. You see this this pillar is up with a crescent moon shape. On the other side, you saw me go there briefly, the pillar was down with a sun shape. It's currently nighttime, so the moon shape is open. And in fact, right here in this level, we're actually going to have to get both the day and night treasures, or both the gray and red treasures, at the same time, one after the other. Okay, I don't think you could block from these guys, so I'm just gonna jump over him. Believe this should be it. I guess we'll get red first. Of course, if you don't like the time of day, you can always just enter any stage and then exit it immediately, and the time of day will change. So, we have the bottom of a map. Now it's daytime, let's enter the ruins again, though this time we'll go right, like we normally would. And you can see the sand's a lot higher, and these hands will pull you down. These things will appear in later sections of the game too. As long as you don't go on them while the hand is like, while the fingers are up, you should be okay. If the fist is closed, then it's not that bad. See? Just gotta be patient with these things, and not get bumped back by these guys. That was a little short-lived. Yeah. Alright, let's go. Ah, dang. Okay. Sometimes, due to the bouncy nature of this game, it can be crappy that certain enemies, their placements are pretty poor. That guy actually decided to dash jump over so that I can like charge into him and get more speed that way. This right here, we can duck and crawl. You can also jump and duck. You can grab that key like that. I suppose these levels, while they're not necessarily important that you know a lot of these moves right now, it's just good to know them for later. These guys, you want to be careful not to get hit by their hammers. I believe the chest, the gray chest is down here. Alright, let's, oh. Aw, dang. Well, I just like the music. Okay. So sometimes it can help that, like, you know, you can sort of abuse the fact that there's a ceiling above you so that you don't have to bounce all the way up as soon as you get sprung. That's kind of the reason why it would seem kind of annoying. But because you have, like, these blocks up here that I would advise not to break, they're a saving grace if you ever get sprung-manned. Sprung-manned. Anyway, that's the gray chest for W1. And we get the top half of the map. We're also getting a few coins along the way, which will be fairly important later. I guess with the map, we can find our way through the desert, and also the tornado goes away. Apparently that's how maps work. Oh, I'm moving the window a little bit here because I have a guy that tells me like where all the items are and in what order that's generally to get them at. Obviously, when you unlock a new level, chance is pretty high that that level has something that you can get right off the bat, so it's not really that much of a problem. And obviously the temple can just tell you where to go. But I just want to make sure that I know which ways to get certain things. Anyway, W2, the volcano's base. We can't really do anything here, because although you can break this block, you can't quite get under. So this will be used for a later section of the game. You can jump there and go through here like that. However, up here, gotta be careful that you don't get bounced around by this guy and go off the ladder. Ooh. Going up here, you'll find there's a cart. It doesn't have any wheels, so it doesn't move. You can imagine that later on, we will get wheels to be able to make that cart move. At the time, though, you can see the key down there is what we need. Generally, you will want to get the gray one, the gray treasure first, because it's typically the one that you're able to get first. So, let's be good about this. Slide down the hill, jump once, and then we got the key. Nice. To make it back simpler, instead of having to crawl all the way across like this, let's make it easier on ourselves and also do the same thing back. Now, over here, we want to get to this area. This is where a boss is. We can't break these, but we can break it while rolling. So, our solution is, on the way back, one big jump, another big jump, another big jump. Okay. Gotta jump a little faster. Let's try this again. Luckily, this game, obviously, since it has no, like, time limit or, like, heart meter, you could try these things however many times you want. It's just a matter of, like, perfecting it, getting it right. And you just let go, and you go through. I'm gonna grab that money. Anyway, we enter this pipe, and we have a boss. If you get hit by its hammers, it will make you spring all the way up to the top, and then you're basically ejected from the boss. That's generally how bosses in this game work. They throw projectiles or some kind of thing. If you get hit by the projectile, then you will turn into a power-up and end up getting ejected from the room. That's pretty much how it works. So right now, I just have to charge into the right barrel here. You gotta be very careful that as you bounce back from the charge, you don't get hit by a hammer that he throws. Oof, okay. Alright, cool. Now you want to get away from him. Want to be careful. I'd say try to get under him if you can. He can change his elevation, though. So be careful here. Hit him from the bottom. Smack into him from the back. And now you can ride this hammer up. And obviously, if you were more sprung, you have to go higher and higher and higher, and you'd be ejected from the boss room and have to re-enter it and try again. And of course, if you didn't get the key at this point, that's not a problem. You could just break those blocks, enter this pipe, and you'd have a chance to get the key back here again. Then you'd go back in the boss room. Then go back in. And there you go. These are the overalls. Here's our first big power-up of the game. This will allow us to do a lot of more interesting things. What will it let us do? It will let us ground pound on enemies. It's our first major item. Pretty cool stuff. These weird, I don't know, mole things, I guess? You can just keep holding down and they'll be bumped back down repeatedly. So now that we have that power up, it tells us 2 levels where we can go back and apply them to. One of them typically is the way forward. The other way is typically either an extension of the way forward, like maybe you need 2 levels to like get a power up, combine those power ups and then continue the game. But more often than not, one of them is just a bonus item. N3 here is where the bonus item is. So just keep holding down on this guy and you'll bump him all the way down. We just need to enter this pipe right here. It'll take a little while here, but one thing is when you're ground pounding and you're ground pounding with 2 blocks under you, if you're in the middle of them, you'll break one of them, but because you're already on the same level as them, the second one won't break and you'll need to ground pound again. It's kind of annoying, but it won't last forever. So keep this room in mind right here. Minigame clear. This is where your coins will mostly be used. Also, these guys, when they prick you, you have to touch a ceiling or else you'll be floating up indefinitely. However, right here, if we go as far right as we can while floating up, we can find the red key. And there's the red chest, but it's behind the minigame clear thing. Question is, what does that mean? Where's the minigame? The answer is in that door. How do you play the minigame? You're gonna need some coins. So make sure you keep breaking blocks, killing some enemies, and eventually you'll have enough coins to play that minigame. I don't think the big music note coins count for any kind of currency. They're just like bonus stuff. I've never gotten them all, so like I don't really know about them. Ooh. So we got golf. Let's play. One game is 10 coins. You gotta get really good at this golf game if you want any chance to 100% this game. Basically, you have to hit A button twice. The first time, it'll be to charge your power up. If you want a high hit, you'll want to go as far as possible. Then you want to press A again once the meter gets back in the red on the left side. Or, if you want a little extra push to the right, wait until the meter gets into that little blue sliver on the right side of the red, or that little blue sliver on the left side of the red, to demonstrate here. Okay, well that's not a good demonstration, because I screwed up. So I actually can't win now. I can't get the thing in one fell swoop. So I'll show off the blue. There it gets bounced back a little. It's very little. However, it makes a difference if you're playing the game. Over time, you know. I guess that's fine. We'll get the guy stuck in the rough. Remember, if it falls in any kind of like lava or water, that's bad. That's an out of bounds. You waste your turn, another turn gets added as a penalty. So now I've technically hit 3 times. I got in the bunker, which is even worse than rough, honestly. I can't do anything now. Unfortunately, that game was also bust. Let's try this one more time. This one must be easy. Just get it over the rough. Yes! Nice. The indicator that it shows you is a general idea of where it'll be. It's not perfect, and he might like bump a little to the left or a little to the right, but it's a decent indicator. Anyway, that's great. We got a hole in one. It took us like 2 other attempts, but there we go. Oh. Let's quickly get rid of that. Now the minigame clear has opened up. We want to go through the middle here. So let's just float up. Of course, the right there, you could also go on that coin. And here we go. Here's a prize that seems random and not really that interesting. It's a blue crayon. What does blue crayon do? Do you remember that game, like, area? It'll color that place blue, as we'll see here. See the bushes at the bottom are now blue instead of gray. Over time, you'll find other crayons, and it'll color in that place a little more, I guess. With that being said, though, I suppose we'll get into the other place where you can apply the overalls. Back to N1. There's this guy right here. And here's the door. I'm going to try to get as many coins as I can, but I don't want to, like, bog down the video by just getting coin over and over again. These guys right here, they'll pick you up. What's the point of them? It just seems like either they're helping you or... oh my god. Or nothing really that substantial. Well, we'll soon see what their purpose is. These guys right here, they're very hefty. If they jump on you, you will be flattened. What can you do while flattened? Not a whole lot. You can just sort of flop around. However, these guys that can pick you up, they'll unflatten you. Well, that's nice of them. We'll get rid of him for now, because we don't need that guy telling us what to do. So flattening has some purposes. You can go through, like, certain areas that are too short for you to walk under normally, and you'll need to jump. Letting the guys pick you up now doesn't really do a whole lot. So, for example, if you could flatten yourself, you could just walk over that gap and get that coin. But it's not really important right now. I'm gonna grab the red key. As you saw before, in front of the red chest was the minigame clear thing again. Once again, you will see a lot of these. You'll have to get good at that golf game. That is the only kind of minigame, at least, so you don't have to get good at, like, a million different types of minigames. But it is definitely a different kind of gameplay than the rest of the game, so I could see why this might be a bit of a turn-off if that's not something you'd really want to get good at. You'll also see the emulator isn't perfect. Occasionally, as the camera's jolting around in the stage, you'll see like random glitchy tiles in the background. Oh, what? Oh, I missed. Alright, come on. Yes! I'm really glad I got that on the last possible stroke. You have to get that under par, or else, yeah, you will fail that. And here we go. What could it be? Why, of course, it's a pot. You know, a pot. Pot releases a cloud. Is this some kind of Japanese thing that I'm too not Japanese to understand? Well, whatever the case, these rain clouds make water, and then W3 opens up the Pool of Rain. As well as W4, A Town in Chaos. So let's go there and check that out. The Pool of Rain. First off, here's a rock that seems completely unbreakable and pointless. We'll ignore that for now. So these pegs right here, you can ground pound them, and ground pounding one of them affects another peg. Pretty much affects an adjacent one, unless the adjacent one is as high as possible. Like this one here. Essentially what I'm trying to do here is transfer the pulse from the left side to the right side, because I want the right pegs to be as high as possible. That's good enough. It doesn't need to be perfect, I think. Like, there is a little bit of leeway, but as long as you're, like, relatively decent enough with this, you can get it about that high, for example. You can make that jump right there. You can jump up here, and you'll get the gray key. And oh yeah, you've also noticed that when you hit water, you can't really do anything. You can just sort of float around at the surface. That'll change later. For the time being, that's all water is. Alright, looks like we got it. Ooh. And here we go. For our efforts for finishing W3 Part 1, we get what looks like a cog. Some kind of gear, whatever the case is. Let's try W4, A Town in Chaos. It's a very creepy atmosphere. Once again, this is a thing that I really enjoyed as a child, just like how weird and creepy and interesting it was. These guys right here, if these ice cubes hit you, or these snowflakes, you will slide all the way back until you hit some kind of wall. As you can imagine, that will be kind of annoying in the future. I'm just going to grab this key right here. The way to get back is a little complicated. There's a few ways to do it. The main way I tend to do is avoid these zombies right here. Hit this switch. Go back in the door. As you can see from that switch, the blocks right there are a little higher up. and I can just repeatedly hit this, I don't know, furnace over and over again. There is a faster way of getting out, by the way. I just like this way because it's so silly. I also want to point out that... Oh my god, this guy is an asshole. Well, he's dead now. The furnace doesn't need to actually be directly under the window, which, by the way, is what I used to get in here. You can sort of get it right in the edge and press up, and you're not even on it, technically. Love those little things in games. You can sort of kind of cheat the system. Regardless, though, the gray chest is over here. It's all the way on the left side. All you have to do is jump up here on the zip line, and just don't even jump. Just wait for it to hit you down. You'll start to roll. And there it is. Zip lines get kind of interesting later. They do a few interesting things with them. And that's another gear. And as the two gears combine, the elevator shaft starts working. The elevator shaft will take us towards another destination. The South Quarter Sphere. The Grasslands. And well, as it stands, that's 10 treasures. So, I suppose next time we'll go to the South Quarter Sphere and start with S1, the Grasslands. I'll see you then.